Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, Hunt, I'm doing great. Just trying to get as much work as I can get done today so I don't have to think about anything tomorrow.
That's the goal. I've only got 43 minutes left, and then I'm doing no work for the next 4 days. So that's a nice feeling. Let's talk about some of the work that you've already done in kind of looking at the opponents for LSU. We'll start just in the Southeastern Conference. I think a lot of people are very curious about Alabama in the post-Saban era, Kalen DeBoer's first year. Some familiar faces, but also some departures from that team. I want to speak first to their offense with Jalen Milroe. Are you prepared to say that he could be a Heisman contender at the end of this football season?
I think it is a pretty open field in terms of the Heisman. As you know, if you look around the odds and whatnot, I think a lot of different quarterbacks are in the conversation. I don't know if it would shock me, but I would be fairly surprised just from passing perspective if he took a step forward the way that Jaden Daniels took a step forward. You can't expect that from a quarterback that has had the kind of inconsistencies that he's had. Now, I will say the legs is obviously what gives him a chance to really be on at least close to what Jaden Daniels was last year in theory. But yeah, I'm not sure offensively if he's going to be the one that gets him there. They've had kind of a shallow receiving group the past couple of years. Maybe disappointing is a better word. So I'm interested to see the skill position guys that they have this season.
Yeah, it's interesting that group has been maligned over the last couple of years in Tuscaloosa, and Jermaine Burton made a lot of really good plays for them. But it's been we haven't seen that run like we saw that ridiculous run they had back 4 or 5 years ago of wide receivers. You said you were curious about it, but I mean, do you anticipate that being a little bit of a liability for Alabama, or do you think there are just some names we don't quite know yet?
I think there's some names we don't quite know yet. Like you said, Jermaine Burton went 80th overall in the NFL draft this past year. They added transfer Jeremy Bernard, who can play a little bit. I think we're far away from the years, like you mentioned, of them pumping out first-round receivers and multiple ones every year. But I do think that they're going to have enough talent at running back, Justice Hayes, and at receiver to give Milroe some options and give them some potential offensively. Where honestly, last year especially, they didn't have much, and the year before that, it was really a lot of just Jahmyr Gibbs.
Alabama will be coming to Tiger Stadium this year, as will Ole Miss. I have a feeling when we get to SEC Media Days here in a couple of weeks that a lot of people are going to be buying Lane Kiffin's program with Jackson Dart, a lot of returners, and then a huge transfer portal haul. Are you buying Ole Miss as a significant playoff threat, as an SEC championship threat, as a national championship threat?
I definitely wouldn't go as far as national title threat, but it's hard to not buy this team on paper just because there are so many good, proven college football players on it. And I definitely think this game for LSU is going to be fascinating in Baton Rouge. So, yeah, if you go down the list of just the players that they've added, start with like Walter Nolan on the defensive line, who was a five-star guy at A&M and played really well for them in his time there. Juice Wells, receiver from South Carolina, is really good. Princely, I can never say his last name, Umanmilen from Florida is really good. So, yeah, you just go down the list. They added a lot of high-level starters, and then you return Jackson Dart and enough talent offensively to really, I think, keep pace with everybody in the conference pretty much.
We know that a lot of people think the Grove Collective is among the best in the sport in terms of their organization, their ability to get things done. Do you think that it's sustainable for them to continue year over year to pull this kind of a transfer portal haul, or this kind of we've got a quarterback coming back, kind of like the talent, we're going to push the chips right now?
I'm not sure. It definitely feels like an all-in type season from Ole Miss. I will say the one thing that, LSU fans and a lot of fans in general that aren't, fans of Ole Miss will say this isn't sustainable, obviously, because the transfer portal, all good coaches want to build through the high school ranks. My problem with that, or my rebuttal to that, is it's Ole Miss. How far are you really going to get recruiting just high school players every
Yep.
single year? Like, you're not going to be at the level of LSU, Alabama, and so on. So you have to kind of take an unconventional route. And Lane Kiffin is the king of taking unconventional routes, and I think he's gone about this perfectly. I think you have to be unique, and he has the backing of their boosters, obviously, to do this. And I think that they've picked a really good year to go all in, because I don't even think their schedule's that difficult either. So I think they're very much a playoff team.
Florida's schedule is difficult. Do you think Billy Napier survives this based on your look at the Gators this summer?
Oh, man, that schedule. Them in Oklahoma, it was, just looking through it, I kind of felt bad for them, because you just don't see the wins really on the schedule. I think that Vegas has them at 4.5, and honestly, that could go either way. So, because even Florida's non-conference, it's like UCF, Florida State,
Miami.
and Miami, yeah. So it's going to be tough. I'm not sure he survives it, especially if they end with 3 or 4 wins. The talent, it's kind of limiting. I'm not sure that they have enough playmakers, especially losing Ricky Pearsall and Trevor Etienne to really keep pace. The defense wasn't good last year, so yeah, there's a lot of questions there. I'm not sure Billy makes it out of there.
You mentioned Oklahoma's schedule, and I wasn't planning to go to them next, but we'll do that anyway, because I saw this on the SEC Network on yesterday, and I went, whoa, I didn't realize that. This will be a talking point in Dallas coming up in a couple of weeks. But the end of their schedule is at Ole Miss. This is Oklahoma. At Ole Miss, then they play Maine. Then they're at Missouri, home Alabama, at LSU. I mean, that's a nightmare. They better sock away some wins early. By the way, they play Texas and I think maybe Tennessee. So they better get some wins early, or else they're going to be in some trouble late. How do you think Oklahoma handles the transition into year one in the league?
Yeah, the funny thing is I actually like their roster in total. The biggest question is the quarterback position. A lot of people should probably know Jackson Arnold, who comes from the DFW area, was a 5-star guy. I loved him out of high school. In his only start last year, though, he threw 3 interceptions against Arizona in the bowl game. So he's going to have to be really sharp. Like you said, the schedule is brutal right there. Vegas has them at 7.5 wins, and I would argue they're just as good this year as they were last year. So it's going to be a hard reality for some Oklahoma fans, I think, to just kind of maybe settle in this year. But it all hinges to me on Jackson Arnold at quarterback. If he's as good as maybe he was, in high school, and he could be, then yeah, they could be pushing for 8-9 wins. But if not, it could get ugly.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Connor Wigman's one that I like a lot. He's going to be handed the keys to Mike Elko's offense over in College Station. A lot of transfers out from that star-studded class. But what do you think about the Aggies roster in year one or Mike Elko?
Yeah, I'm also pretty high on Connor Wegman. I also they've returned some solid defensive talent. Shamar Turner, I know they lost Walter Nolan and some guys, but Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart on the defensive line, Torian York at linebacker. I like that group. Now, the question is offensively, they added Reuben Owens, or they have Reuben Owens back, who was a 5-star at running back. I think he gets a lot of carries. But ultimately they, lost Evan Stewart to Oregon, lost Walter Nolan, like I said, and lost a few offensive linemen that I wasn't expecting. So I think Elko is a really good coach, and I think the defense is going to be pretty solid. Ultimately, the ceiling, it depends on Connor Wegman and, if they have enough weapons there to be explosive, which they obviously haven't been.
LSU's SEC opener is South Carolina on the road in Columbia at 11 o'clock Central Time over there. We know that Spencer Rattler's in black and gold down the road now. What do you feel about Shane Beamer's program?
I'm not very high on them.
Yep.
Lost Spencer Rattler, lost Xavier Legette, and even with those two, the offense was not good. About 26 points per game. Just really struggles running the ball, 131st in the country in rush offense EPA. So I struggle to see offensively where they're going to be able to go with the new quarterback and obviously a new receiver, wide receiver one. But yeah, I think their win total was 5.5. I think their schedule is a little bit easier, especially in the non-conference outside of Clemson. But yeah, I'm not. I think LSU should be able to take care of business, even though I believe that game's on the road.
Yeah, they better. 11 o'clock in the morning over in South Carolina. They need to get that one done there in September. Matthew, we appreciate some time. If you want to check out Matthew's thoughts on all of LSU's opponents, you can do that over on the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.